on more technical stuff, just again on the animated side and how I kind of break down movement. If you guys want to have a brief look at that, I'm going to show you now the side of like the animated side of things. My animation style is very like anime based and very action based. So I'm going to break it down for you guys while I explain and I draw over it. This little personal animation that I did, that is just a kick, but it has many elements that I think you may find interesting on the technical side of things. So basically, this could be like, okay, you may have been tasked to make a shot and it's like, okay, the girl kicks, it doesn't necessarily hit the villain, then she goes and gives another kick. So I'm gonna kind of show you how I break down this on the more technical animator level. First of all, we're gonna turn off the camera because as you can see, it has like a camera shake that I just added because since this was a personal animation, I just wanted to have fun with it. But of course, this is something that you wouldn't do as an animator. Like this is the shot animated without the camera movement. And a lot of times camera moves will be sent to the composition team and they would just be in charge of that because this is basically just a camera shake that it was added. So, well, let's go down to breaking down movement. Let's go down to technical stuff. I'm going to show you how I plan shots like this. So if you're tasked to just say what the intention of the shot is, it's going to go like, okay, the girl is falling and she's going to kick. We're basically going to start blocking out keys. So I have a starting position over here. And I know that from here, my next pose is going to be this, where I very exaggeratedly overshoot like this pose. I try to put as much emphasis on this kick as I can, like her body is almost on a straight line towards the action. So I try to focus on that. And basically, I know that I'm going to reach from here to here. I'm going to just write a little K over here just to keep in mind. When I start thinking of shots, I usually immediately go down to thinking of breakdowns, which means how the movement is going to go. For example, how is she going to get to here from here to here? If she's just going to immediately shoot out from one frame to another, or if I want like a slow buildup, like she's slowly falling, I'm like slowly stretching her out. Yes. Like a slow stretch, and then I could shoot it out. And that gives a lot of strength. It's like a buildup, as if you were doing like a little arc that goes, you have your first pose, and then you draw your second one here, and you immediately shoot it over there. So it's like, it starts here, then it's getting down, and you can shoot this very strongly, and then it can give you like a good sense of a kick, for example. This just with breakdowns and keys. So we can go like keyframe, we break it down to know that she's going to slowly begin, and then she shoots out. So basically, from this point, we can just compose the character back up and give her like a resting pose, which in this case is basically this one. I'm going to just hide this for now. Yes. So we know that after this pose, she needs to compose herself back in. I'm going to erase these circles so that it's not confusing. So we know that from this pose, this extreme pose where she kicked, she's going to compose back in. She's going to go into like a resting pose to go back to the next part of the movement. So after I know that this is my next pose, I can just think, okay, how am I going to get from here to here? And here you can have a very interesting example of how to think in masses of an object. Since this is a very heavy, like body mechanics movement, there's a lot of stuff going on. And I'm going to show you a little bit how I think of these things, because when you're thinking of very strong forces, you want to explain and break down as much of the object as you can, so that you can show how the masses behave, how everything shows, and for that to give strength. I'm gonna kind of like show slowly how I was breaking this down, so that this kick feels strong, because sometimes when you are making a strong movement like a kick or a punch, we would think that the movement stops here when she already did the motion. But there's a lot that happens later on that can give you a sense of strength. For example, if she here kicked and she missed, yes, basically her leg dragged all of her bodies, like the body was here and it got dragged over here. So on the next frame, on the next breakdown, I can make the body kind of like try to catch up with that movement. So the body is kind of like pushing in and trying to catch up with the movement. The leg can already relax. It's like the leg did its job. It's like it already reached the point that it needed. So you can just relax from here. And that also gives like a good overshoot, like it overshot this way. You can sort of try to relax over there. And we can focus on how the body reacts and composes to the kick. So since she is trying to compose, her body is arcing a lot, her head is tilted backwards so that it has like this sort of spring shape, like she's trying to get back to her pose after stretching all the way. The arms as well are feeling the force of the other head, like are trying to compose themselves. And after that, I like to do something that is give a little bit of bounciness to this shot. This is basically just an animation of keys and breakdowns. So these can still be considered key drawings because they are showing you how the movement is going to behave. So you kick, and here I made the body move up on this position, but on the next frame, I'm going to make it return so that I can have like a spring motion of she shot this kick, the body is trying to compose this way, and then it tries to relax and return to the old place. So it basically gives you like this sort of motion that she came and sprung back like a spring like this. Like she went like this and she sprung back, trying to get back into the position. So it goes, shoots, and she tries to get back. And now the rest of the body can catch up to the movement. And from here to here, we can just go and relax her to reach the final pose. Even here, where we might say that from this frame, we might just in between here, I did something else, which I basically made the body, the upper part of the body, reach the relaxing position first, and the hips are moving after it. So if the hips are basically here, I'm going to just erase a little bit of this. If the hips are here and they're trying to compose, the body is going to go to the resting position first and it's going to stop. And then the hips are going to catch up. So the hips are going to go down. So basically it breaks down the movement if I were to redraw this. The body is shooting up. I'm going to focus on upper body first. And then when this is reaching a stable point, I'm going to move first the upper body. And when this upper body is already in the resting position, I'm going to then move the hips down so that it can relax and rest over there. So you can still break down the movement in two separate parts. Like first, I'm going to drag the upper body. It's going to turn around and rest. And then the hips can relax and reach the resting point. So basically you can just have like an interesting breakdown of how body can work and how you can like think of the body as different masses, like torso and hips, and then legs and everything. And that also relates to the next step that I had. So we have like the basic breakdown of how I build up to this kick, and then how the body relaxes to this pose. So now we need to get to the second kick, which basically the kick ends up over here. Normally impacts, I don't like to make them keys. If I'm making an impact, I mean, if I'm having a frame that is going to make contact between these two characters, I don't do that as a key because I like to have like the full extension of the movement first, and then figure out how the character is going to connect. The same thing I did with this earlier part, where I first focus on how it's going to go from here to here, and then I can focus on like an in-between frame and stuff like that. So I'm going to leave the contact moment for later. I'm going to focus on this extension. Basically, it's like I know that a character is going to go from this pose to this pose. Yes, I know that it's going to shoot all the way over here. And we're going to see how we can reach that. So we can go for the basic principle, and we're going to anticipate this. So the character is going to go down. And here you can also see like a behavior of masses of the character. The body moves down. This was the main body. It goes down with the character. And the arms can go up. It gives you a little bit of contrast when you're animating. In this case, they are also moved like on this side because the character is going to rotate. But it makes it interesting that if you're going to anticipate a movement, like from this moment, since the character is going to shoot out this way, we're going to make it go down. If you have something that like counteracts that, it makes it look interesting and makes it look less stiff. If the character just like go down, just like this, it may look like just like if I just copied and pasted it, this arm, and I just put it on the same place, it may look like just like very stiff. So this can give a good variety of the movement. And then after we have this anticipation, have like the leg bend, we can focus on the jump. So what I did for the jump is, of course, over here you have like a very extended shape to, again, kind of like make a strong line over here, like she's going this way, which helps you a lot into how movement is going to be. Yes, it's basically like just having a big stretch of something. Like this is going to go from here to here, so you stretch it out. And what I did is I moved the body towards the place it needed to be, and then the body stays still. Like the body moved and then back down. So it's like it jumps over here and it rests and it remains there for the whole time. So that basically is like transferring some momentum. The body moves and then drags the leg that's going to kick with it. So it's like leg starts to build up and it can catch up with the movement of the body. Like the body moved here and then it drags the leg with it. And then we can have hit. And then the full extension of the thing. So that is basically how you could think of these things. And again, thinking of this breakdown of parts, like the upper body can move on its own, separate from the legs or the hips. And with this, we have basically the main part of this movement. And we can keep moving. So after we've done this, we know that this is going to end up just in resting position. Like the girl is going to finish her movement, she's going to land, and that's it. So she's just going to remain here. And that's about it. But there can still be a way to do this in a way that looks interesting and like sort of realistic in some way, because if you were just like in between, for example, if I just show you the drawings that we have, if we were just in between this pose of the character to this pose, we may have like just a basic movement of, okay, she's just, body's just going to move slowly over here. And she's going to land. Let's say I just start making slow in-betweens over what I do. We can just make like the character just move between frames and land, but that may give you the idea that is like a bit just stiff for it. It doesn't follow up the kick in the better way. So basically what I wanted to show you is the continuation of these like breakdown of movements, how we get from this extended kick to the other one. I do the same thing on the other case where, since the big mass of the movement was driven by the hips in this case, like we have the movement coming from the leg at this point, leg kicks and leg with hips move forward. This continues to move forward and the body is trying to catch up. So the body that remains still for this whole time, it's going to remain here and it's going to be dragged by the lower part of the body. So you have like the body that is trying to remain. You can even show that with the arm that first is flexed in this way and it drags as if it was stretching down this way. And from this point, since the legs already reached its landing point and the hips are already in position, they don't need to do much else. They just need to basically just relax over there. And then the body can finish the rotation now. So I can go from this place to the last position. So again, we did like, first, we're gonna move the lower half of the body, and then we make the other half catch up. And by this, you can end up with very interesting motions that for me look very, very appealing and also very, gives a little bit more of realism to certain movement. And it also, it can also help in terms of giving strong poses. Sometimes we shouldn't be afraid of like jumping a lot between frames and having a lot of difference and character change between the movement, because if it accommodates, it can work and you can still make it consistent. It's not that you need to deform the character so far. So I can do the same examples with how the second character behaves, because of course here it's also a sort of elaborate thing to do when you're dealing with multiple characters that interact with each other. Like when you have characters in many scenarios but that don't interact, it's just a matter of organization, that what's going to go best. But mostly when you have characters that interact with each other, like on a fight or a conflicted scenario, there's mostly one that's going to lead, but you need to have the other character to kind of like match that and not remain like a puppet. So here, if I focus on the second character, on the one that's on the villain, let's say, I'm starting with a strong, I'm just gonna have a bigger brush for this. I'm making the head lead on this case as it's going to this side. And we immediately go to the hit. So at this point, this character would maybe not have a lot to do because it just stays there and catches like the kick. So this character could basically just stop on a resting position, for example. After it got hit, it could like immediately go from this frame to this frame. Yes, if I show you like this. But if that would happen, it would be too fast. It wouldn't give time for the other character to like compose herself. So if I just immediately went to this pose over here of this character would just be staying still. It wouldn't have much to do. So we can break that again with some sense of, if this character is hit, you can also like feel the strength of the kicks. So even though it wasn't hit, it got stopped with a lot of strength. So the body is going to stay there and it's going to drag everything else in front of it, like the lower half, the arm, everything is going to go there. The head as well is also moving backwards because it already reached like the furthest stage that it needed and it's stopping. So basically, we're going to drag this and then we're going to make the character go from this dragged spot to the relaxed one. So after the body has caught up, we can make like the character get back to a normal position. It's also starting to try to catch up with the arm, to try to make it not go further. It also went and catched the leg. And then we can just in between these again, between these two. Here, I also try to make the resting point in different times, like the body, the main body reaches the resting place first, and then you have shoulders and arms that kind of match up. Or on the opposite way, like shoulders can sort of bounce off. But it's the same sense of trying to make the different masses of the body to reach the stages that they need first and other parts. And then we can just focus on the latest part is just the character is going to try to attack again. So basically just gets again on aggressive position and tries to force his way in. So this is just a basic little drag. The head tries to make like another, let's delete this. The head tries to make another arc, like it's here, and it goes down and then up. So it's like, it's doing like this movement as if it goes down, tries to get up. And from this, basically, it just hits. This is like a knockdown body. It's just like, okay, the body is just going to drag, to be dragged by the head that got kicked. And basically, you just have the body fall in a simple motion. But well, there you can have like the brief breakdown of how I'm thinking of masses. And again, on the most basic side of how I think of these things, as I was saying, the first thing one would start to think is that we need to have the main movement of the character figured out, and then we can focus on the second one. Yes, we can figure out how the girl is going to move first. And then we can focus on the other one. And we can make the other one adapt to what the other character is doing so that it has stuff to do while the other character composes itself. And then you have the movement.